Welcome to Agents Growth Academy. I am your headmaster, Jim Schubert. I hope you're ready to grow big or go home because class is now in session. And folks, one thing I want to bring to your attention, something I've been talking about on and off now for a little while, is I have put together for you a cheat sheet for those, especially in the insurance industry, of 5 ways to provide value before asking for anything in return. And the reason I think this is important is because I see a lot of insurance agents who struggle to kind of get their foot in the door and to endear themselves to prospective clients. And I've taken some fantastic ideas from people who are much smarter than myself in the industry, and I've put them together in this cheat sheet for you to download. So just go to agentsgrowthacademy.com/value because it's all about providing value. Folks, I am unbelievably excited today to introduce a really fun guest. Her name is Tammy Mutasa, and she is a 2-time Emmy Award-winning reporter and fill-in anchor for KOMO News Seattle. Tammy was honored to join the KOMO News family in 2017. She has been an integral part of her newsroom, covering everything from the coronavirus pandemic, tumultuous protests following the death of George Floyd, catastrophic natural disasters, and many stories that have drawn national attention. She was awarded Emmy Awards in 2019 for breaking news and spot news. Tammy received her bachelor's degree in journalism from the University of Texas, hook 'em horns. She received her master's in broadcast journalism from Columbia University. When Tammy is not at work chasing stories, she can be found spending time with her family and friends, drinking wine, hiking, or just on an airplane. Tammy Mutasa, what is going on?
Hey, Jim. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I was introduced to you through Gabe O, whose episode actually released today,
Yay,
coincidentally.
Gabe.
And he just had fantastic things to say about you. And I said, hey, I would love to have, somebody who's really good at communication, somebody, who tells stories or is really good at telling stories. He's like, I got the perfect person for you. So I was super glad that he introduced us.
I'm so flattered. Yeah, Gabe, I love Gabe. He's really sweet. He's a really nice guy. I actually met him on a story, and he was one of the kindest people ever because I randomly went to his house looking for surveillance video and a crime spree, and he
Oh,
had
man.
it. He's just he's a really good person. So I really appreciated him. Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to dig into that story in a second because there was something you were
Yeah.
telling me about off mic that was really cool that I thought really speaks to some of the challenges that insurance agents themselves encounter every day. And who would have thought that a news reporter and an anchor would actually have some of the same challenges? So I'm excited to get into that. But I'm curious, when I asked you if this were a master class, what would you name it? You said, whatever it takes to be yourself. And Gabe had told me that you've done such a good job since you came into the Seattle market of really branding yourself and endearing yourself to the community in Seattle and greater Seattle. And people really love you on KOMO
Oh,
News. And so, I think there's a lot of things that insurance agents can even take away from that, how they can, influence prospective clients, existing clients, things like that. So was there kind of an epiphany or a pivotal moment for you in your career when you realized that, being yourself and doing whatever it takes to be yourself is important?
Definitely. I would definitely say that, Jim. I think, as a reporter, when you're starting out, right, you are like, I'm going to be like, I'm a news person. Like, it's a huge responsibility, let's be
Yeah.
honest, right? Because it's your credibility. People are relying on you for accurate information and whatever different things that you do. And so I think for me, like, at first coming in, it was like, well, you want to be this news person, this like figure.
Yeah.
But as you're out in the field meeting people every single day, you see people probably on the worst days of their lives or on
Yeah.
the best days of their lives or somewhere in between, but mostly on the worst days of their lives.
Yeah.
And you realize at the end of the day that we're all humans, right?
Mm.
And so what the epiphany was for me, I think, I don't necessarily think it was one particular thing. I would say it's just from covering more and more stories and meeting people every day and realizing that number one, I'm part of the community, so I
Yeah.
care. So their problems are my
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
And so I think that was kind of like the thing, like, come on, if this is an injustice, this is an injustice for me too. And just like things that impact us every day, they impact other people as well. And so I think just kind of like recognizing that, I think that's sort of what clicked it for me. And I think I mean, I have a story. There's this one story I'll never forget.
Yeah.
As you go in different markets, there's always a story that you never forget. And I think for me, it was there was this little girl in Amarillo, and she died in a fire, right?
Mm.
And it was a horrendous just injustice. Her family didn't have fire alarms, like things that we
Mm.
take for granted.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, how do you tell the story? And I got the assignment, 12-year-old died in the fire. And it's like, oh man, this is really gut wrenching.
Yeah.
And we wanted to find her family. We wanted to talk to her family about this tragedy. And so then we didn't have an address. It's part of my job too, is finding people. You get really good at finding people, whether people want to be found or not. You get really good at finding people. And that's always like, I think the number one question I get is, how did you find me, Tammy? And I'm like, we'll talk about that later. But back in those days, we didn't really have those tools. It was more of like instinctual in your gut. So we had an idea where she lived. And so we drove to the neighborhood and we're like, oh my God, I can't find it. I mean, it wasn't a big neighborhood, but can you imagine you're just like driving around trying to find someone who
Yeah.
might be related to a child who died in a fire?
Yeah.
So my photographer and I drove around, and then we asked one neighbor, and she goes, oh yeah, I heard about that family. They live like 2 blocks away, and the dad has like a green car. And we're like, that's more than enough.
That's got to
So
be
we
easy.
drove- no, but seriously,
Green
we just
car.
have like, green car. I was like, okay, I'll take it. So we drove 2 blocks away, and we're literally kind of like slow driving and creeping in the neighborhood. I think people probably thought we were like creepy, probably.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't see this green car. I was like, okay. I was like, you know what? We tried.
Yeah.
And just when I was about to give up, just literally when I was about to give up, like, you know what? We can tell this story in a different way. A green car came around the corner and pulled into the driveway in front of our car. And I was like, that's the green car. Oh my God. Step one. So then we're like, okay, now let's go. Let's go talk to this family. So I walked up to them and I just said, I'm so sorry for your loss. I can't even imagine
Yeah.
what you're going through right now. You don't have to talk to me, but if there is a message that you want to share about this tragedy, what you want people to know about your daughter, or if you want to help somebody else, a message, anything, then I'm here. And if you want to share, they can, and they did. So that was probably one of the most powerful things for me, in that I think I went there with the right intentions. We really just wanted to tell the story. If you could help somebody else, another family, and the dad was extremely, I mean, he was so grateful for that opportunity. Not everybody is, and not everybody wants to, and that's okay.
Sure.
But just to give people that opportunity to share something that might help somebody else, or that might save another child's life, or that might make somebody be more vigilant, whatever it is, just to give them that opportunity. That's where I was coming from. And I think, and that's when I kind of started realizing that just caring about the story and other people and putting yourself in their shoes makes a huge difference, no matter what you're covering, whether it's a tornado, a flood, whatever it is just having that genuine empathy and caring that this also impacts you as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's so relevant for insurance agents too, because so often we're trying to, there's something that we want, but we sometimes forget there's something that they want, right? And it's not like nobody wakes up saying, man, I can't wait to buy some insurance today, right? Those are the crazy people that you want to avoid. But for the ones who aren't, they're wanting to have an opportunity to work with people who genuinely care about them. And if you're kind of what I was talking about at the beginning, like if you're able to give them something first, then what you did in that situation was basically, asked for permission to help them tell their story so that, God forbid the same thing doesn't happen to someone else.
Right.
That's what it's all about. And I love the fact, I'm writing a book right now on the power of storytelling in business. And this is so huge because inviting them to tell that story is such a powerful way of, getting a message out and in a way, probably helping them to some degree, even though it was very fresh for them, to start the healing process. Because
1000%. Yeah. And I think that's that definitely is. And it reminds me of another story. I mean, and sorry, Jim, I should have prefaced with, I'm on the crime beat and I'm breaking news. So a lot of my stories are dark and sad. And
it's
true.
okay.
I mean,
we as insurance agents, Tammy, deal with this kind of stuff all day long, right? So very similar.
Yeah, exactly. But there is that power in giving people the opportunity to, whether that's heal, the opportunity to process, the opportunity to help somebody else, and whatever opportunity they want to seek justice, to seek help, to seek knowledge, whatever it is. I think I really hope that you are giving that person that opportunity. A couple of months ago, I covered, and I will never forget the story as long as I live, probably. It'll be one of those stories I'll be telling. It's this mom whose son was murdered in a shooting, and this crazy shooting in Des Moines outside of a bar. And, sitting down with that mom, there's been many times where I cry along with families and I'm sad, and I go home and I'm just like, man, this world is a messed up place, and yeah. Sorry, I have to really watch my mouth.
This podcast is not regulated by the FCC.
Good to know it. But you have those moments where, like you said, where storytelling is so it's a powerful tool and a way to help people. And I think that's how I go into it, and that's what I hope people get from me is that, just like sitting there talking to Selena, her name was Selena Taylor, and her son was killed. And, just, I'm still, it gutted me just because it's like just talking to that mom about her grief, her shock, wanting justice and seeking justice and not understanding why this happened to her son. And he didn't deserve it. He was literally at the wrong place at the wrong time. And for her, it was a powerful way to start processing that and to start, I don't even think there's healing, honestly, in that one, because it just was so unjustified. And I think a lot of the times you have to accept that as well, that people are going to process it the way that they want to. It's just giving them the opportunity to do that. But the bad guy was caught, and that was great.
Good. That's really good. Yeah. And as insurance agents too, like you said it before, like you oftentimes encounter people on their worst days. That's where, when our product is used, it's used because someone had a bad day. Right. And this is really good advice too, of like, how do you work with somebody when they're in a situation like that? Something you said before, off mic, that I love. And you started to tell the story of Gabe and how you met him. Can you get a little bit more into detail about that? Because there was something that you said, and I wrote it down. It was, some door knocks are harder than others. And I think this is this is going to resonate a lot with insurance agents out there.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, for us, I mean, just think about it, right? Just like you guys are door knocking or selling
phone calling
a
or Zooming or
phone calling or Zooming. Think about it. Every time that you see a news story and there's some sort of an interview from a neighbor or a loved one of something of someone who's been impacted by something, or a neighbor who's tired of in Seattle, for example, homeless encampments growing in their backyard, whatever it is, you have to approach them, right? There is some sort of way where you have to say, what you're going through, someone else could benefit from hearing from that. And here's why you should share or choose not to share. And so why I say some door knocks are harder than others is that some days you approach people and they're like, yes, Tammy, I want to tell you all about my problems and why I'm pissed and why I want this to change in my
Yeah.
backyard and why I want that. And some days people say, no, Tammy, bugger off. I don't want to talk to you. I hate the news. You're all liars. You're all fake.
You ever
And
get any door slams?
all the time,
Oh man.
all the time. But I smile now because you know why? It's like on one hand, I used to take it personally, but now
Yeah.
I don't take it personally. You don't
Yeah.
take it personally. I know that my intentions come from a good place. Like I just want to tell a good story and hopefully help somebody feel something, learn something, know something, whatever that something is. So if you don't want to be game, and that's totally fine. We'll try the next person until the next person until the next person. And there's always someone.
Yeah.
There's always somebody who wants to share.
So
You
you
know, I
knock on
never
a lot of doors. It's just like insurance agents.
that literally is there's going to be one person, right? There's
Yeah.
something. And I think that's part of it is like not giving up. And I think with Gabe, how I met him is like there was a crime spree in his neighborhood, and we were looking for this surveillance video. It was actually a surveillance still that the police department posted. And I was like, there's got to be video somewhere of like the
Yeah.
whole thing happening, and
Yeah.
the neighbor has to have it. So we're literally, again, it's like detective work. We're driving and we're like, wait, is this the house? Wait, that looks like the house. Okay, I think it's got the brick. That's the house. So we get out and I'm like, hi, so sorry to bother you. You know, I'm Tammy. We're just trying to get the word out. There's some guy who's going around being a porch pirate or stealing people's stuff, and that's not cool, you know, and we
Yeah.
just want to get the word out, warn neighbors, and, you know, if you know where we can find this video. And it was Gabe's wife, and she goes, I actually have the video, but my husband has it, so you'll have to call him. But she's like, actually, just go to his job. He works here. So she called him and she's like, hey, this news lady, I think she's a little desperate. She's coming over to get some video. Can you help her? And Gabe was like, oh my God, sure. And that literally was like the nicest thing. And, you know, we did the interview, Gabe, and you know, and it was a good little story. And then I was like, yeah, Gabe, can I also have insurance for my car? So it worked out.
Yes. Score.
It
Score for
worked
Gabe.
out.
You
But
know,
yeah, that was a good door knock, right?
yeah,
But not all
yeah.
of them are like that. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you, you know, and especially like for the insurance agents that are listening to this and saying, yeah, but Tammy, sometimes I knock on a door, I pick up the phone or send an email or whatever, and I'm not being influential enough somehow. I'm not getting through to them. Have you had times where you've had somebody that at first said, no, I don't want to talk to you, but then you were able to convince them to share what it was?
Absolutely, Jim. And I
And
think
and how did you do that?
I think that's just such a good question because, you know, I'm making it sound easy, but it's really not. It's a
Mm,
very difficult thing to convince somebody to to do whatever I guess you want them to do, or to convince them that they need your service, to convince
yeah,
them that they need to be on the news to share their story.
yeah,
But I think for me, again, I keep going back to I think it's like understanding each other's humanity, right? And I think just always putting yourself in their shoes, like, look, I hate to even be doing this, or I think maybe just think about it in this way, and maybe you'll change your mind, and almost sort of like giving it to them as it is their choice, because at the end of the day it
mm,
is their choice,
yeah,
right? And you're saying, you know what, I understand where you're coming from. And I think that's sort of where I always approach it. Like, look, I understand. I can't imagine what you have been through. And you don't
mm,
have to share your story with me, but maybe it will make you feel better. Maybe it'll catch the bad guy.
mhm,
Maybe it won't, but maybe it'll do something for you. Maybe you get to share about your loved one. Maybe you get to call out the police or call out your city leaders.
yeah,
Whatever it is that you can find benefit with it too, maybe that is the case. And that
yeah,
happens a lot. I mean, there like right now, I mean, I'm still working on a couple of stories, and I'm it's like an ongoing process where I'm trying to convince this lady to share with us her story. It's a hard one, it is. And I'm not like, but again, I'm on the approach of, you know, I think you need to share because people need to hear what happened, so that, you know, this person who's clearly a danger to the community,
Mm-hmm.
Gets the justice that they need for
Yeah.
help or for whatever. But I also understand that it's a burden and a huge responsibility for you. So if you don't want to, that's okay.
Yeah.
So I think you have to give people the choice. I think you have to be kind. I think you have to be tenacious. And I think you have to put yourself in other people's shoes to genuinely show them that you care. Because I
Yeah.
think that's what differentiates. I mean, news reporters get such a bad rap for not, caring, that they're just there to do it. But I honestly would like to say, I don't think that's true. Everyone in my newsroom genuinely cares about what
Yeah.
they do. We give a shit. I'm sorry, we
Yeah.
care.
Beep.
I'm so sorry. We
It's okay.
care.
We'll
We
beep it up.
really do care.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and something you said really resonates with me too. You said, what is the benefit for them in this?
Yeah.
And if you can identify what that is, I think that's kind of the turning point for how do you make it influential, right? Like how can you be influential for them is if you get them to see what the benefit is. And for us, and we talk about this a lot on the show, it's not about the product for us. Like,
Mm-mm.
stop talking about the product. Nobody cares about this policy or that policy. What's it going to actually do for them? Is it going to give them back more time because they don't have to spend hours shopping multiple insurance carriers? Is it going to solve some other problem for them? Maybe they didn't, maybe they lost something or had something damaged that they didn't think to insure, and their current insurance agent didn't tell them about that. Right. So like, what is it that actually matters to them? And like you're saying, putting yourself in their shoes. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
step one. And that's the pure definition of empathy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is to see the world through their eyes, which
Exactly.
part of the biggest thing I've learned about good storytelling and researching for writing this book, we are not the heroes in our client's
No,
story, right? You're as awesome a reporter as you are, Tammy, you're not the hero. And you've
no.
said it on this podcast several times already. It's highlighting those people's stories. It's
Right.
getting their message out at what's important to them, that, they are the heroes. And if you can help them, achieve the hero's result, you in effect become the hero for them for a moment, right? But
Yes.
you're like Yoda, right? You're their guide. You're helping guide
Exactly. You're
them.
the conduit.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're the conduit. You're not the hero. It is
Yeah.
not about you at all. It's not. And I hate that where people just kind of make it about themselves. It's not about you. We're not the story. We
Yeah.
are the conduit. We are the guide with which to tell their story. And I think
Yeah.
that is what powerful storytelling is, at least for me. It's just like giving that person their voice and their platform, and the telling it in a way that touches people's lives. You want
Yeah.
someone to feel something at the end of the day, like what when they finish watching your story, like what are they feeling? Are they feeling empathy? Are they feeling outrage? Are they feeling a sense of security? Are they feeling like they want to be a better person? Whatever it is that you want
Yeah.
someone to feel something at the end of it. And I think that's what a good reporter does.
Absolutely. And anybody who's trying to be influential with anybody, that's what they do. They they find a way to help that person move forward with what they really want, right? That's
Right.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You ready for the rapid fire round? Because I want to make sure you got enough time to go out there and get the next story and report
No,
it
you can
to
ask me
us.
any other question. It's fine. It's fine. We go a little over. It's no problem.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I'm. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
What is the craziest story you've ever covered, and what can we learn from it as in our industry? What can we walk away from it from? This is a challenging question.
It is. So I would say there's been several, but I'll say this one because till this day I always think about it. So I one day, right? So I'm in the Junior League of Seattle, and we're building a lady's house at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I hope I have an easy day at work today, like, because I'm tired. I am super tired. We've been building, plowing, doing all these things. And I sit down at my desk and I'm like, all right, today's going to be an easy day. You should never say that as a reporter. I learned that. Never
Don't
say
put that
that.
out in the universe.
Don't put it out there because you just jinxed yourself. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, what story am I going to do today? And my assignment editor goes, Tammy? And I go, what's up? And he was like, I think a crane just collapsed on cars in the middle of traffic in South Lake Union. I was like, in my neighborhood? And he's like, and I was like, get out of here. I was like, get out of here. You're lying. He goes, no, I think a lot of people have died. And I was like, all right,
Oh my gosh.
here we go. And I just knew that was going to be a crazy day.
Yeah.
And the first thing I felt, I mean, literally one of the first reporters on the scene rolling up and seeing a crane that smushed people's cars.
Mm.
And you know those people are not alive. And you
Oh.
just like, then it's like 3:00, breaking news.
Yeah.
There's been a crane collapse in Seattle. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, nonstop 9 hours
Wow.
of breaking news coverage.
Wow.
And this was one of those stories where, I mean, it just broke your heart. It did.
Yeah.
Because how random is that? You're just
Yeah.
driving. Can you imagine, Jim? You're just driving, minding your own business on a Saturday, and then a crane falls on your car.
No.
That's unreal. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just one of those, like, starting to get, you know, people to recount what happened.
Mm.
Heroes emerged from that story. People who didn't even know the people who were trapped, running to try and save them, running to try and rescue them. Water, people bringing food, people bringing me food, people, you know, just sort of like after this massive tragedy in our neighborhood and like reacting to it. And in that case, I just honestly, you kind of just throw out the I'm a news reporter here. And it's like,
Yeah.
guys, a crane collapsed on people, and this is horrendous. This is
Yeah.
you putting yourself in their shoes, but there's people you're trying to help. You're trying to be empathetic. You're just putting yourself in that situation
Yeah.
of what happened. And that was one of the Emmys I won for
Oh,
Spot.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's, I mean,
Yeah.
a tragic situation, but like you obviously did a great job portraying what happened. And I can't imagine that you would have received an Emmy if you didn't connect with people. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I found. I mean, just being a connoisseur of news for, you know, the 44 years that I've been alive, like those are the moments you remember when the reporter or the anchor connects with you and helps you feel what's going on the ground. And again, going back to, you know, what we do in our industry, like if you are genuinely connecting with people, and I know some people probably watch this or listen to this and go, Jim, really? Are we talking about like, you know, touchy feely, holding hand kind of stuff? Like, does this really matter for insurance? Yeah, actually it does. Yeah, it does. It matters in every industry because again, influence comes from the ability to deeply connect with people to a level where they say, I trust you and I want to do business with you or come into your world and watch more of you and engage with you and you know, yeah, all that stuff.
And Jim, you know, I wouldn't even say, I mean, to viewers who are like, oh, this is touchy feely. I think it's just humanity. I think it's real life. I mean, think about it. Whether it's the best show you've watched on TV, the best book you've read, the best movie you've watched. It is, you're right. It's about connection. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we're all humans. We're all in this together. If it's not me today, it's someone else tomorrow. We're all connected and we're all going through very similar things and we all want the same things. We want to be happy. We want peace. We want love. We want to be safe. Yeah. These are just human condition things. Yeah. So I don't necessarily think it's touchy feely. I think it's just connecting with people. Like, oh my God, there's a horrific tragedy. Well, why did it happen? Why did somebody die just now? What happened?
What can we learn from this?
What can we learn from this? Yeah. And how do we prevent this moving forward? Because think about it. It's so random. Yeah. That could happen to you tomorrow. I mean, I'm not wishing that on anyone. Yeah. But the world is a random place and crazy things happen to people all the time. So I think you said the word, it's connection. It's connecting with people. not necessarily in a touchy feely way, but just on a human level and
Yeah.
understanding you're human, I'm a human, and we want the same thing.
And that is why you're a superstar.
Yeah, right.
I love it. I love it. Let's get to the rapid fire because
Yeah, sure.
I'm very curious. No, I love these stories, but I'm very curious about a couple of things. Number one,
Okay.
what is one piece of technology that you cannot live without?
Oh, I know it's so cliche, but my cell phone. Seriously, I can't.
Everybody says that. Okay,
It's
what
my cell
about
phone.
your cell phone? What apps? What apps can you not live without?
It's like, so I have a bunch of different apps. I have my work app, like the Como News app. Sorry, I guess I should. I've got, texting. I got to talk to my mom, pictures. I've got the Bible app, my music app,
Nice, nice.
Twitter. So maps, I can't drive anywhere without maps. I don't know how people
Me neither.
literally drove without maps. I need a navigator. That's, my money, like banking,
Yep.
everything is on.
Yeah.
Everything is on your phone.
Isn't
Everything.
it
Everything now.
crazy? Like we
It's
literally
crazy.
we go nuts if the Wi-Fi's out, right?
I know.
Yeah, our whole
That's
lives
why you should always
collapse.
have 5G.
Yeah, I know. I just upgraded my phone. I finally have 5G. I'm excited.
Nice. It will change your life.
It will.
Seriously.
I actually
It will
my
change your
daughter
life.
rides horses and she was
Oh,
working over the
cool.
weekend at the barn and you drive down this hill and we almost always lose reception. But I finally got a new phone and I just drove down there and I was like, I got to text her. I hope she gets this. And I was like, oh, I have full bars. I have full bars. I was so excited.
I know. The little things are the big things,
Oh
right?
man, I know. I'm
Yeah.
telling you what. What about one book that you're reading now or that you've read that you love that you want to share with folks?
Oh man. And so I'm like a voracious reader. So it's pretty hard. I'm a slow read. My friend,
Oh,
I
me
just,
too.
as soon as I said that, I thought of my friends in my book club will say, Tammy is so slow. I'm the slowest reader, but I really do love reading because it relaxes me so much. And
Yeah,
just learning different writers' writing styles and how they tell compelling stories.
yeah.
For me, I think I would say probably my all-time favorite book is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, just because like
Oh,
I was such a young person,
yeah,
as like a young woman of color and just kind of understanding like what beauty meant
yeah,
inside and out.
yeah,
And so that book is one I always carry with me and understanding and learning to value yourself as a human
yeah,
being.
yeah.
And I think that book, I mean, it's just so powerful.
As a
What I'm
former
reading
English
right
teacher, I can totally respect that, and I love Toni Morrison when I was reading books in high school and college. Yeah,
yeah, and they're so deep. You're just like, oh my God,
yeah, yeah.
so deep. And I mean, the opening line in that book, I'll never forget. It's nuns go by as quiet as lust. And I just never, you don't forget an opening line like that,
Yeah.
right? The juxtaposition. I mean, it's just, you're like, this book is going to be deep. That's that. So for me, it's always The Bluest Eye. But what
Awesome.
I'm reading right now, I'm reading several books. I'm reading like I just finished Lisa Jewell's book. Then she was gone. It was like a really really well written crime book, and
Nice.
it's really tragic.
Yeah.
But the way that book is told is incredible. It's a page turner, and you're just like,
Awesome.
and it's written from different perspectives. I won't give it
Yeah.
away, but it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
she disappears, and it's like in one perspective, it's like how she disappeared, like leading up to it. So like from her mom's perspective, like and the grief dealing with her daughter who's
Yeah.
disappeared, presumed dead, and then it's like the people around her who are responsible, but you don't know that they are responsible at that
Oh, don't
point.
give it away. Good.
I won't. And then it flips towards the like middle of the book. Now it's her perspective
Yeah.
of like how she disappeared and where she is and what happened to her. Like it was
You are a
crazy.
true lover of storytelling. I love it. I knew
I
I
love
was going
it.
to enjoy talking to you.
No, and then one more book,
Yeah.
Bridgerton, of course. I
Yeah.
am reading number 4. It's been a delight.
I
And I
haven't
got
seen the show yet. Yeah.
the show,
But
season
I
1 was
did see that you
fantastic.
did a piece on it.
It was my favorite story I did.
That's awesome.
It was just such a break from all
Yeah.
the, the sorrow and the death
Yeah.
and the tragedy. But then there's like this blip of hope that everybody wants so much. And
Yeah.
obviously, this was a huge success. And
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, Julie is such a wonderful, kind person. So is her
Yeah.
husband. He's an infectious diseases doctor and she's like a romance author. So like
Okay.
such an unlikely pair, but
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
actually the romantic one. So it was so fun. It was my favorite.
That's awesome. Do you
Yeah.
ever listen to books on Audible, or do you always read them, or?
I read.
Yeah.
I like to turn the pages.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely something to be said for
Yeah.
that. Like actually touching the book. For me, I'll use Audible if I'm listening to like a business book that's maybe like a little bit harder to digest, but I just want to like drive and listen to it.
Yeah.
And then I'll, if I like it, then I'll buy the physical copy and go read
Yeah.
that. And for listeners, if you guys want to, if you go to audibletrial.com/growbig, you can get a free month and I think 1 credit, or if you have Prime, they give you like 2 credits, which is like 2 books.
Cool.
So it's pretty cool. audibletrial.com/growbig if you guys want that. Finally,
But that's what
one piece of
podcasts are for. I
what's
like
that?
to listen to podcasts. I said that's what podcasts are
Oh,
for.
heck yeah.
I do listen to them. Yeah, I like
Do you
listening
listen
to
to a lot of
podcasts.
podcasts?
I do. Yeah, I do. I haven't
Yeah.
in a while, admittedly. I haven't.
Yeah. I
I
listen to
don't even
probably
ask
like,
me what the last one I listened to because
oh,
it was
no.
so long ago.
I probably have like 10 to 15 that I cycle through just randomly. It's like depending on what mood, it's like sometimes I'll get in my car and I want to listen to jazz, or I want to listen to like
Yeah.
90s alternative, or sometimes I just want to listen to, random podcasts.
Right.
Just totally different. One final piece of advice or actionable step for the audience.
Oh man, that's a tough one. I would just say
And
be
especially like
kind.
anything that we covered today, like specifically.
I think I would definitely say probably just not to sound cliche, but be kind and put
Yeah.
yourself in other people's shoes and don't give
Yeah.
up. And usually when you come from it with the right intention, it always works out.
Yeah. I love it. Wise words. So I was disingenuous. I have one more question.
Oh, of course. I do the same. I'm like, can I do one more question?
If I said to you, Tammy, would you rather in this moment consume hot soup or gourmet marshmallows with hot chocolate? Which would you rather have?
Gourmet hot chocolate with marshmallows.
Awesome. So I'm going to
Right?
send you, as a gift for being a guest on the podcast, some gourmet marshmallows and hot chocolate from our friends at Mountain Mallow. It's a company. My wife and I went out to Vail a couple of years ago, and
Oh,
there was like
nice.
street vendors, and these guys were there, and we tried it, and we were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So we gave it to all of our staff this year as just like a Merry Christmas, and we miss you guys because everybody, a lot of people are still working remote.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm gonna send it to you. I'll get an address from you off air or email you. But for our guests, if you guys want to try this out, they're actually giving our guests 15% off your order if you go to mountainmallow.com and then use code GROWBIG when you check out. So mountainmallow.com, use code GROWBIG for gourmet marshmallows and hot chocolate. You're gonna love them. You're gonna love, and
That
it
is
comes with like
awesome.
several
Thank you
different
so
flavors of
much.
marshmallows too. Yeah,
It
it's
was kind
awesome.
of a hard choice because I love soup. Living in Seattle, it's on
Yeah,
like a dreary day. It's
yeah.
just so nice to eat soup. But marshmallow, I mean, hot chocolate.
I had you at
I'm a
hot
girl. I
chocolate
love
and
chocolate.
marshmallows. Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, Tammy, it's been an awesome time. I've had it's been a pleasure having you on the show. If people want to learn more about you or watch you in action, where can they find you online and check you out?
Thank you, Jim. No, they can find me online, comonews.com,
Mm-hmm.
on
That's
every,
Como with a K, right?
yes, Como,
Okay.
KOMO news.com.
Okay.
They can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Tammy Como.
Okay.
Wait, or is it at Tammy Mutasa Como? Can I just
Mm,
double check for 5 seconds?
I'll check
Sorry.
for you because you put it. You have at Tammy
I'm like,
Como.
what is my? Oh, sorry. Yep, it's
Yeah,
at Tammy Como, and my Facebook page is Tammy Mutasa Como,
awesome,
or my personal Facebook page is Tam Mutasa.
awesome.
So reach out.
Well,
I love meeting new people, and I'm so thankful to be here today. Thanks for having me. This was a really wonderful chat.
yeah, my pleasure. Stick around for 1 second after I hang up the call. But Tammy, it's been a
Sure.
fantastic time getting to know you. And folks, until next time, grow big or go home. Take care, folks.